Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Confident Woman Lead podcast. I am your host, Anita Miller, and today we are talking about what do you do when the question that you're currently asking is, what else do I need to do to get promoted? And I have asked this question. I know that it's a question that so many of you are currently asking, and I want to talk about it today. So let's get into it. So maybe right now, especially as we get into promotion season, and maybe if you didn't get promoted, especially if you got a really good performance review, and maybe you've been doing all the things, the question you are asking is, what else do I need to get promoted? Right? Maybe you're asking this question of your mentor, of your boss, of his boss, of someone else in the organization that you currently work with. And maybe they're telling you you need to do this one more thing. You need to get more exposure. You need to, get a mentor. You need to get in front of the right people. You need to, get better at your confidence or your communication. You need to get this new skill. You need to fill in the blank, right? Now, this podcast is for you, but it's specifically for those of you who has asked this question or has been asking this question for a minute now, who has done all the things. You're a top performer, you're speaking in front of people, you have exposure, whether you realize it or not. I really want you to hear me when I say this is the reason why you need to be in Confident Women Lead. Because if you are asking this question, the question, what else do I need to do? You are asking that question of the wrong people, sis. And not only that, you're asking it at the wrong time, right? And so let me talk to you about what I mean by that. You're asking people who are the decision makers at your organization, the people that you believe decide who gets promoted and who doesn't, and when they get promoted, etc. So you're looking for them to tell you when you need or what you need to do and when you need to do it so that you are next up or the next person to get promoted. The thing is, if they were truly your people, the people that would tell you these things, you would already have the answer. So it tells me, because I've been doing this some time and because I've been in your shoes, that the people you're talking to are not your people. And it often means that they're not going to give you the answers. And I'll liken this to a conversation I had recently with one of the members inside of CWL. She's up for a promotion again in the next 12 months because she is in the government. And she's looking for an opportunity in a couple different locations. The thing is, in one of the locations, one that she might prefer, there's a person there that's currently being groomed by the leader there, even though the leader there is headed out, right? And the conversation that, or what she said to me was, but the rest of the leadership team doesn't like the person that's being groomed. And that person has made some mistake, X, Y, Z. And I'm going to tell you guys what I told her. And I'll probably talk more about this in a separate podcast. But for today, no one gets groomed without the blessing of the people above them. No one. So if this person is getting groomed, despite what people are telling you about this person, it means that somebody with power, authority, a say, has blessed it, right? Because nobody spends time mentoring, grooming, preparing someone that they don't believe has the capacity to do the job, and someone they haven't sold to the rest of the people who might be a part of the decision-making process, right? So let's tie this back to the conversation around what else do I need to do? What else do I need to do? This says that if you have to ask that question, these aren't your people that are preparing you to get to the next level. Because if they were, you would already know without having to ask that question. You heard me? Because you would be being groomed in preparation for the next role. And when I say that these are not your people, it doesn't mean that they don't like you. It doesn't mean that maybe, to some extent that they don't see your potential. But these are not the people that are willing to invest in you, to use their political capital for you. And listen, that's okay. Everybody is not our people. And the earlier that we pay attention to that, the earlier that we accept that, the earlier we can move on and make the moves that do serve us instead of holding on or trying to force people because we report to them to do what we believe is their job because it's not, right? So when we ask the question, what else do I need to do to get promoted? One, we're asking the wrong people. Why? Because they've already shown you that they're not your people. Because if they were your people, if they were invested in your career and your career growth, you would know exactly what you needed to do to get promoted. And you wouldn't have to ask the question because they would be telling you things. They would be telling you, okay, when you go in this meeting, here's what you need to do. Okay, hey, this is what happened in that meeting. You don't want to do this because this is how people interpret that. They would be grooming you, they would be mentoring you, they would be guiding you down a path that would make it easy for them to use their political capital in order to get you promoted. Two, your timing is off. Now, let's talk about why the timing is off. The timing isn't off because you're asking the question. The timing is off because the question is down too late. And let me tell you what I mean by that. The question is now too late because if you're asking that question, it means that you have already done some things, a lot of things, especially as a minority woman, as a Black woman, before you got to asking that question, especially if you're asking it from a place where you're feeling frustrated, angry, and aggravated when you got to ask that question. So if you're asking the question and you feel like you have to ask that question because you don't know what else is there left to do, it means that you are likely a top performer. It means that you are showing up. It means that you do have exposure. You likely have some level of relationships. People do know your name, yet it seems that you can't get the desired outcome, i.e., a promotion. And you can't get that because they're not your people. And so by the time you really ask this question, you probably have asked it once, twice before, and they gave you, oh, you need to work on your confidence. Oh, you need to work on your communication skills. And you've worked on these things. So now you're back to ask the question again for the second, third, fourth, however many times you've asked the question, and you're getting some other thing that you need to do. And I'm telling you to stop doing that because the question now isn't for them, it's for you. What else do you need to do for you to get the next promotion, taking the path of least resistance, taking the path that is the easiest? We are not here in 2024 to be proving things to people. If these aren't your people, you can't make them be your people. If they're not invested in where you want to go in your career, then they're not your people. And you need to be in the business of going to find your people. And I think that today we don't want to invest in building relationships. We don't want to invest in people. We think that it should be so easy. And the reality of it is not. And we see this not only in the workplace, we see it if you go to TikTok and you listen to people talk about dating and the effort it takes to actively date. It takes effort to get to know people. It does take effort to actively build relationships. But you do want to be strategic about it because you want those relationships to, grow, to be able to leverage them so that you get the desired outcome, right? So asking yourself this question, and I'm going to give you an example. I have known probably since 2017, 2018, when I had a bad boss and I learned about coaching, that I was going to leave my corporate job. Now, I kept that on a hush because everybody don't need to know my business, because the companies I've worked for, if they would have known, I would have had to do like a conflict of interest and blah, 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 and go through all that. And I wasn't willing to give up one for the other, although it was a risk, at least not at the time. I knew I needed to save more money. And so I started in 2017, 2018, saving to leave and become a full-time entrepreneur. And so why am I telling you this? In 2020, when all the things were happening, our leadership team started to have these conversations with the minority leaders in our department, myself and a couple other people, right? Because there's often not that many of us. And so in this conversation, it was led by another sister, and I almost felt like I was baited. And I'm not blaming her because it meant that if I was able to be baited, it meant that I didn't have a handle on my emotions the way I thought I did, right? So it meant that I had to do better, right? So it showed me that. But she kept asking me questions because she knew my story. She kept asking me questions because she really wanted him, our leader, to hear the heart of how we felt. And she used me to do it. And again, no shade, no blame. But it wasn't my intent to say what I'm getting ready to tell you I said. So we're having this discussion, and I caveat that my experience is different from some of the younger people, right? I've been in the organization way longer than them. I am the last of Gen X. They are maybe middle-ish, older millennials. Their experience has been different than my experience. Their ability to move up has been different. And listen, that is a good thing, right? Because we don't want the generations after us to have the same experience we had because we didn't like the experience that we had, right? So I don't want that for them. But somehow the conversation led, and I can't remember what was asked. All I remember is me saying, blah, blah, blah. Like, what else do I need to do? And yes, I said it was sister girl attitude. I know, I did. I'd like to say I didn't. I was just passionate or assertive. No, it was full on. You could feel my frustration. And I am talking to my C suite leader, right? I'm talking to the C suite leader, a couple of executives in the meeting. Okay. And at first, I was upset with myself because I let my emotions get the best of me. So there's that. But after I thought about it, I realized that the question that I was outside of my own character, that I was giving away my power just asking the question. Because when you ask the question, what else do I have to do to get promoted? It means that you are expecting someone else to do it for you, to give you the yes, to give you the grace, to give you all the things. And if I had to ask it the way I had to ask it, it means that again, I had sat there too long. I had asked it too many times. It was way too hard, too difficult than it needed to be, especially given I know I am that girl, especially given you know you are that girl. You know your work ethic, you know your ability to produce, you know your ability to think strategically if given the opportunity, you know your capability, you know the value that you bring to the organization. So why is it that I'm sitting here letting you decide when I get this next promotion? Because the reality of it is all I need to do is to make an effort to build relationships either outside of this organization, outside of this department, or to update my resume and use my energy on getting the promotion and getting to the level I desire rather than waiting for y'all to do for me what I know that I can very well do for myself. Or maybe you don't know that you can do that for yourself. And this is where Confident Women Lead comes in because I'm here to tell you that if you want to get promoted, you can get promoted. And you don't have to wait for those people. You waiting for those people are delaying where you're supposed to be. And it's increasing your frustration where you currently are because you have outgrown that role. You have outgrown that level. And you are ready, likely, if you've been asking that question and you've been doing all this extra work over here for the not just the next level, but maybe one or two levels even above that. So if you are currently asking yourself the question, what else do I need to get promoted? The answer is you need to move forward. And moving forward looks like, is your resume updated? Have you been working on talking about your accomplishments? Are you ready for the interviewing process? Have you been networking and building relationships outside of your organization? Whether you've been going to conferences, meeting people, whether you have been doing coffee chats with people on LinkedIn, whatever that looks like. And if your answer is no, or if your answer in your brain is like, oh, but that feels like a lot, honey, going to work every day at that job you don't love anymore feels like a lot. So it can be a lot dealing with the headache, the exhaustion, the idiots, and all of those thoughts, or it can be a lot doing what's best for you. But if you're waiting, and Cat Williams told us this, if you're not willing to invest in you, if you're not willing to spend, the $49 a month or even the promotion we have for annually right now inside of Confident Women Lead, to get the information you need to build up your skills to get to the next level, then why should the people that even you're currently working with, why should they invest their political capital in doing so? You're not willing to invest your time, your effort, your energy, your money for a return on your investment. So why would I? Why would they? Right? So that is what I mean when I say if you're asking the question, what else do I need to get promoted? It's the wrong question to the wrong people at the wrong time, sir. So, with that being said, as always, I invite you to get inside of Confident Women Lead and our accelerator program so that we can accelerate your next promotion. No more asking the people what else I need to do. I'm the best person to ask because I'm willing to tell you what they won't tell you, first of all. And then if I tell you you don't need to do any more for this level, then that means that we need to be working on some other options. We never put all of our eggs in one basket. That means that we always have three paths to a promotion. We're never leaving it to one person or to one group of people to decide our fate. That's giving away your power, and we're no longer doing that. I'm Anita, the corporate navigational coach. I will see you all in next week's podcast. But don't forget, Confident Women Lead because we know when it's time to make a move and we don't let other people dictate our next move. I love you, sis.